Zahir Mathis decommits from Ohio State. Let's talk about it. So Zahir Mathis has decommitted from Ohio State. I just put out a video this morning about, well, Monday morning. You might be watching this Tuesday morning, but Monday morning about the class and who I thought could flip. And Zahir Mathis was one that I was kind of unsure about. I had gone with a 3 on my panic confidence meter, stuff like that. And I went with the 4 because like I said, I didn't want to stick with the threes. If you want to watch the rest of that video, you can go do that. Like I said, I just posted it earlier today, earlier Monday. But I went with a 3 and I went up to a 4 because I didn't want to stay with 3 for the sole purpose of if I felt like he was going to Penn State, I thought he would have already decommitted. And so when this decommitment came out today, I thought, that's a little interesting. Why now? And why didn't he commit earlier if he has plans to go to Ohio State? If you remember, the visit for him to come to Ohio State happened during the Nebraska game, and that was a good while ago. That was actually in October 26th, which what's today? Today, if it's Tuesday, today's the 19th. So, 20 some days away. Math and the dates and stuff is hard. But anyway, Zahir Mathis wrote on Twitter, after much consideration, I've decided to reopen my recruitment and decommit from Ohio State. I appreciate Coach Day, Coach Johnson, all the coaches at Ohio State. They are still a top school for me. This is a life decision. Please respect my decision. As always, we will respect the decision. But it does raise a little bit of alarm bell for him to say they are still a top school for me. Now, I don't think Ohio State is going to get Zahir Mathis back. I don't think at this point in time do you decommit just to, maybe go someplace else. I think Zahir Mathis is probably going to sign with somebody on signing day. Who knows? He could come out tomorrow and commit to someplace. But I think he's probably going to sign with somebody on signing day. We might get some inclination there. And the thought process is that it will be Penn State, which makes sense. But you also have to think about some of these other schools that have been lurking here toward the end. We're talking about Florida, we're talking about Miami, and another one that I actually think is a really big possibility. Mark Givler mentioned it earlier today on the Buckeye Huddle YouTube channel. And as I looked into it a little bit more, it made a lot of sense, which is Colorado. Zahir Mathis could very well go and visit Colorado here coming up and then commit to them at the end or on December 4th of National Signing Day. So I guess sign with them, which it's not really signed anymore because it's a national letter of intent. But anyway, he could sign with them on National Signing Day. Now, it's not. I don't really have a great guess on that. I don't want to put that out there because I was already wrong with my 4 pick for Zahir Mathis to stick with Ohio State. So I don't want to be wrong again. But I would say don't think this is just like a surefire Penn State. There is no other option or anything of where he's going to go. I think there's some possibility here of maybe Florida, maybe Colorado as well. There are some other possibilities, but it does leave us in a situation where we need to talk about the rest of the defensive line class because again, if you watch that video, I was not feeling so great on Jarquez Carter and London Merritt. Felt a little iffy on Zion Ziggy Grady, but I looked into that one a little bit more today. I don't think there's really anything to feel iffy about there. It's just kind of the thought process of the way the Alabama recruiting has gone, but I think he's solid. So if I, was going to say I feel as good about him as I do, Trajan Odom, then no, but I still feel very good about Zion Ziggy Grady. Anyway, the other two that we need to take a look at are, like I said, London Merritt and who's the other one? I just said it. London Merritt, Jarquez Carter. That's who it is. London Merritt and Jarquez Carter. Now, I think London Merritt is probably going to Colorado from everything we've seen and from the way Colorado has operated here the past few years with coming in at the end of the time and trying to do all that kind of stuff. I think it's very likely he's going to go to Colorado. Would I put in a prediction for that? No, but I'm saying if I had to pick somewhere that he's going that's not Ohio State, that's where I would say he's most likely going. Jarquez Carter is considering Miami. There's also the possibility of him considering Florida as well. And I think he is giving those teams the time of day. I feel pretty good about Jarquez Carter. Well, I should say better than I do about Jarquez Carter than I do London Merritt. The thing that always gets me a little iffy, and maybe it's just because of Justin Scott from a year or two ago, which is the big NIL push that they are giving Jarquez Carter. Now, Jarquez Carter does not have the the recruiting rating that a Justin Scott had. However, he is tall, and he is somebody that, you've heard some people say, I heard Juck say it earlier today, he plays like a Warren Sapp type of deal. Anytime you can compare to stuff like that, that's a pretty impressive comparison. So even though he doesn't necessarily have the typical size, I think he's 6'2", which is a little bit bigger than most of guys who play his position are. It's still pretty impressive that somebody plays like that and can execute like that on the field. The other one that we need to talk about is Jackeem Stewart. With Ohio State losing out on Zahir Mathis, the possibility of losing out on London Merritt, and the possibility of losing out on Jarquez Carter, does Ohio State maybe offer Jackeem Stewart some more NIL and make it even more enticing? I would think Ohio State is already very high up there with their maximum NIL that they can offer to Jackeem Stewart, but we talked about it when David Sanders did not decommit. That's some NIL money sitting around that you can allocate to somebody else. Well, you take that NIL money that was allocated for Zahir Mathis, you put that toward Jackeem Stewart, bada bing, bada boom. You could have yourselves a very good offer there that might sway things a little bit in your favor for Stewart. Now, I stand by what I said. I still think that Stewart fits better with the Oregon kind of culture and what they have over there and what Dan Lanning is building and just kind of his personal vibe with who he is. I still think it fits better over there. But if Larry Johnson's going to stick around, Jackeem Stewart has a very big respect, possibly the biggest respect for any coach in Larry Johnson. This is the same argument you could use for why TJ Offord is going to stay with Ohio State. TJ Offord probably would have never came to Ohio State if it wasn't for hiring James Laurinaitis. And I think I'm not going to say it's the same thing because we don't know for sure. But I think that if Larry Johnson sticks around after this year, which he should, he's on a 2-year contract and he's been kind of year to year here for a little bit, but he's on a 2-year contract, so he should stick around for at least one more year. If he's going to be willing to stick around for one more year, that could be very impactful to get Jackeem Stewart to come to Ohio State. We'll see. I think it's very interesting, but we need to watch this defensive line class closely, and I'm probably be making another video on them, just going a little bit more in depth. I'm kind of going off the cuff here, if you can't tell with how, I kind of am pausing a little bit and stuff. But that's kind of where I am with this defensive line class and everything that's going on. I don't think there's much to talk about, like I said, with the other guys, Trajan Odom, Maxwell Roy, Zion Ziggy Grady. I don't think there's much else to talk about there. I just think we need to keep watching this class, keep seeing what's happening. And I understand if you're, frustrated with the people coming after our players and trying to flip them and stuff like that. Listen, we would rather have this than the alternative. The alternative is we're Michigan State and we have 15 3-stars committed and nobody is trying to flip any of them because nobody's interested in them. The reason why so many people are interested in offering Ohio State commits so much more money than what they're currently being offered is because they're really, really good players, and Ohio State has done a really good job scouting them and recruiting them and getting them on campus. That's something that gets overlooked a little bit. Some of these players, Ohio State finds and Ohio State offers, and then that gets the recruiting rankings to say, oh, wow, look at, prime example, Jaden Ricketts. He just committed the other day, and he's a 3-star right now, 12th best player in Ohio, according to 24/7. He'll be a top 10 player in Ohio for sure, and he'll get a 4th star most likely just based off the speed and the athleticism that he has. But it just takes that Ohio State offer to get you there, and that's kind of what happens with some of these guys. Jarquez Carter might not have the best ratings in the world, but he's got that Ohio State offer. He's committed to Ohio State, so you got schools like Florida and Miami being like, we don't know where else to go. Oh, yeah, let's check back in with our Jarquez Carter kid, maybe offer him, however, hundred thousands of more dollars, however much it is. So let me know if you guys have any questions or anything. That's all I got for the Zahir Mathis stuff. I always try to do my best to respond to the comments. So let me know what you all think. Are you sad about this? You feeling okay about this? The good news is there's always a portal. right? You can always go check out the portal and see what's going on over there. Find me over on the Big Ten Huddle, where we have been covering the Wisconsin stuff, and we've been talking about Nebraska as well with the Matt Rule situation over there. A lot of interesting stuff there. And then we will have a preview on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock for the entire week. We'll spend a good amount of time talking about Ohio State, Indiana. That's me and my co-host Zach coming at it from a Big Ten perspective. We try not to be Ohio State homers, but we do try to be honest with our opinions over there. So links are in the description for the Big Ten Huddle football channel and the basketball channel. And you can also read my writing. Go down there as well. All right, enough talking about me. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good one.